That went a little shorter than I thought it would. Welcome to the experiment. I'm your host, Joe Soro. That applause was kind of indicative of today's Sunday Oscar night, WBC Semi Finals matchup with the United States baseball team and the Dominican Republic baseball team. Usually these things last longer. I don't know why I went short, but again, I'll do it again here. Congratulations to all the winners tonight. I'm not going to be talking the Oscars, really. I mean, I guess I could throw some stuff in there, but I hadn't watched a lick of it. I just kind of scanned through some of the stuff that I was going through to get for the WBC and found out a few people won. So if we get into it, we'll get into it. If not, we'll stick to sports, which is what I'm good at. I thought an impromptu show would suffice for tonight. This might have been the true championship, but I'm not going to say that considering Italy has been playing very well and Venezuela is playing very well. And their matchup will be tomorrow to see who will meet the United States baseball team for the WBC Final champion. Yes. So today, much like baseball in general, we think we know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. We will for sure be what happens, but not tonight. Not today, not tonight. Today, the game was a 2-1 game, and I don't think anyone in Vegas, I don't think anyone in the DR, I don't think anyone in the US or anywhere around the world thought that this game would be a 2-1 game. But to go through the game a little bit to see why it was a 2-1 game, and that is, well, you had Paul Skeens on the mound, and I'm just trying to get used to this 4-inning thing in the WBC. It seems like no one ever really gets past the 4 innings, and that might be because every team is stacked because they have all their best country's players. But I actually thought if Skeens could get into the 5th inning with I guess a good lead, he probably had done enough to win this game. And in the end, it did happen. But there's a couple things that happened in the game where Skeens probably would have gotten out a little earlier, probably would have went 6 if it wasn't for a few fumbles from second base and things of that nature. But then he did get help from Aaron Judge on that throw out at third when Fernando Tatis decided to try to see if he could stretch some things. It was eerily similar to how the World Series kind of went. You saw a lot of base running errors. Well, what ended up being a base running error. Sometimes you think it's, well, what are you doing? Well, you try to be aggressive, you get caught, and then all of a sudden you start to get a little bit of, running fever, right? So because of that punch out from right field by Aaron Judge, it looked like that Austin Wells kind of sort of going to home after that hit. Maybe he gets home because the relay throw didn't look too good. But anyways, I'll get to kind of all those details as we go on. Again, if you guys have any questions on the WBC, please go ahead and put that in the chat. This is called The Experiment. If you're here for the first time, we experiment on the show. We talk about the subject line, but we also throw in a couple things in there if you want to. Don't worry about being too politically correct either. I don't like any kind of crazy stuff, though. If you're going to come on here and be funny, at least be funny. If you're going to be a troll, you kind of have a little bit of a long leash, but not really. So that's kind of how that goes. So I'm going to get into the chat here real quick. Say hi to everybody. Jeremy, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Son, what's up? Jeremy, good to see you. Good to see you as well. Great. Good work, son. I didn't know what your record was. I unfortunately don't follow MLS enough, but thank you for giving me the update. Now I know. Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. Happy Sunday to you all as well. Jeremy, still enjoying the Lakers win over Denver. Yeah, I think that might have been the best win of the year for the. I'd say in terms of the situation right now. I think that was probably the best win, and for me, it meant a lot because I felt like there was an understanding of what needed to happen when it needed to happen. You saw certain guys come through, DeAndre Ayton making sure getting those rebounds and those important moments and putting them back in, guarding Jokic, and doing a good job doing that. And then, of course, Luka getting the ball there at the end and finally hitting a game winner as a Laker. I think that was something that needed to happen. And the fact that they were able to clamp down on Jamal Murray to the point where he was rendered useless, to the point where he fouled out. I think that was a good start. I think that was a good omen when he fouled out, because you knew that he wasn't going to be there to screw everything up at the end, right? So with that, I could say that was probably the best win of the year. I'd like to see if it can catapult them on this next really, really, really difficult road trip that they're going to have, where they're going to be playing in the Southeast. And we all know how the Southeast is to the Lakers. It's a hit and miss. I think they party too much in Florida over there, or too much in the South. Hopefully they maybe at least once try to see if they could just focus on winning those games. I don't think Miami's a really, really, really strong team, but they're good. Orlando obviously got a win in LA that we thought we should have probably won. And then they're not playing Atlanta, though, on this trip. So, again, it's one of those things where I'm kind of caught between what's more important, making sure you maintain over there, or make sure you put all your efforts in the 2 Houston games, because that could mean getting a 3rd seed. So the next 2 games are in Houston. And it's going to be 1 game, day off, 1 game again in Houston. If the Lakers can win those 2 games, then you're looking at a team that's likely going to stay in that 3-4 spot probably by the end of the year. The thing I don't like is that second game that they play Houston, they got to go back-to-back in Miami. So that I feel like there's going to be half the roster is going to be gone with that. World Baseball Classic was boring compared to last editions. If you don't like baseball, you don't like baseball. It is what it is. I thought it was exciting. Joe, what's your go-to fast food restaurant? Go-to fast food restaurant. Would Jersey Mike's count as a fast food restaurant? Tough. Me too, to see all the Lakers high with that win. Yes, sir. What's up, Joe? Great game. Congrats to Team USA versus didn't expect a low-scoring game from these 2 teams. Skeens, best pitcher in baseball. He showed why. Yeah, and he might have went 6 had a couple things gone his way on some of those plays that the DR put in play. But in the end, when you allow 1 run in 4.1 in a tournament where that seems to be where everyone goes in terms of pitching, and the middle relief had their best game, obviously, of the tournament. Mason Miller hit a little bit of a wall there. It's obvious, and they're going to talk about this all day tomorrow. That last strike was not a strike, but that ump was really bad. Those last couple innings, it was just constantly bad calls, and some of those weren't even close. Two pitches for Will Smith were strikes when they were balls. I think the Juan Soto one was bad, although that one was a little bit closer than the one that was it Peromo that to end the game, basically. That one I think was one of the worst calls I've ever seen. I mean, that thing was probably 2 baseballs too low for a strike. So yeah, but the game was weird because baseball is weird. You have a crowd that was very pro DR, which was in Lone Depot Stadium. Just such a stupid name for a stadium. I mean, these stadium names are so stupid all because of the money, right? And I'm gonna go into something else with this too as soon as I get done with the WBC, because we just found out around 5:00 our time that Dodger Stadium now has a freaking name, and of course they're trying to play it off as if, well, we're gonna call it so and so at Dodger Stadium. I'm like, that's not Dodger Stadium anymore. You're just pulling an Anaheim Angels bullshit now. Now you're going to say this is the LA Anaheim Angels of Northern San Diego, right? Is that what you're going to put on every goddamn pamphlet? Like, did you really need it, guys? Did you really need it? Like, this is the first thing, and I'm hoping I'm overreacting. I'm hoping that it's not going to be too much. I don't want to see some stupid ass name that I don't even know how to pronounce. Acrisure Stadium. That's the Steelers' new stadium, by the way. Steeler rights the last few years. Acrisure. How do you even like Acrisure Stadium? We'll see you at Acrisure Stadium, an insurance company. some of the worst things to have in terms of a name and an image. Just I don't want to get into that right now. I'm going to stick to the WBC. But there were times in this game where, like most games, where you have a couple teams that are pretty much evened out. Although a lot of people thought DR was or the Dominican Republic was way above the talent that the United States had. But what you had is, and there's a lot of comparison to the World Series, is you had a lot of guys that were getting hits, but they just couldn't get them in. They could not get them in. I don't know if it was because of slugging. I'd have to go back and watch the game again. I don't know if it was a slugging issue. I don't know if they just couldn't make contact the way they wanted at the right time. Was the pitching so good to the point where they were able to avoid it? I don't know. I mean, you could always say it's one or the other, right? If the pitchers get you out, then it's the pitcher's pitching. But then sometimes guys guess wrong and they pop it up, or they'll get a grounder. But a 2-1 game wasn't really what I thought it would be. I thought maybe a 5-3 game at the very least. And I thought if Skeens could go 5 and not allow a run, he only allowed 1 home run, and that was on a pitch that had no business getting out. That was a crazy hit. I mean, it was an awesome hit. I think it was a slider up and out. I don't know how the hell he got caught. I don't know how it got caught, but it got caught. But you got to tip your hat on that one. But if Skeens allowed essentially 1 run in 5 innings that he pitched, 4.1 to be exact, and at that point it's like, okay, is 2 runs enough? I didn't think so. I thought maybe they could get another couple runs and really kind of put some pressure on the DR. And you saw as the innings went on, and when they couldn't do anything in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, you saw them pressing. You could see that they were pressing, and they weren't really seeing the ball too well. I mean, Manny Machado on his last at bat, what was he swinging at? I was talking to Empire Jeff about this. I'm like, is he swinging at something that we're not seeing? How it's ball's going like this way, he's swinging over there. So I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird game, and it goes to show you that pressure, my God, pressure is the ultimate item in determining who you are. There is nothing else that changes anyone more than pressure. And I know this isn't life or death, but in this instance, it's a competitive thing. And you're talking about somebody who normally would do well, right? Even if it's not, let's say, a tournament like this, but just in a good game where you're trying to win the game, and you're trying to compete to win a series, to win even in a regular season, try to win a season series or the weekend. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty nuts how even the best can't handle it most of the time. And saw a lot of that tonight. I thought Tatis had his moments, but I think he kind of left some things on at the plate there that I think he could have taken advantage of. Soto, I don't know. I don't mind the gyrations. I think this is the one time I mean, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it in the majors when you're doing it. It's a long season. You want to enjoy yourself too. But this is pride for country. So I didn't mind the craziness when somebody makes a good play. But I don't know about the zesty stuff that guys like Guerrero were doing. I don't know what this doing squats at the plate. Like, really, Vladimir? Is that supposed to do something for you? How about just you're a baseball player, you're a man. Like, do man things. Don't be all doing this kind of stuff while you're getting a pitch. So yeah, that's just something. Maybe that's just something I'm looking at. So yeah. What's next? So we got to wait for Italy versus Venezuela. I really, really wish Miguel Rojas had that insurance issue solved before, because I would have loved to have seen him on the Venezuela team, because this is last year, man. And I know I'm cheering for the U.S., but I think that would have been kind of a cool final, and that very well could be a final. It would have been nice to see Miguel Rojas versus his boy Will Smith, the two World Series heroes battling for the best in the world, right? Again, it would have been a nice story. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see it with Miggy over there, and that kind of bummed me out, because I actually am picking Venezuela to beat Italy. I think everyone thinks Italy's going to win because they beat the U.S. They've got a lot of momentum, but I think Venezuela is going to take it tomorrow. and it'll be a Venezuela final against the U.S., and I think U.S. takes it. So that's where my predictions are. I don't have any solid proof of that happening. I just think that Venezuela was just speaking to me at the beginning of the tournament. I just said, there's something here with this team. There's just the talent that's there. And this is no knock on Italy again. Nick Coletti. Let's give there. Let me make this here. Nick Coletti, guys. You heard me talk about Ned Coletti before. Ned Coletti was a phenomenal general manager for the Dodgers before the Guggenheims took over. He was there for a few years, and then they eventually, I don't know necessarily if they fired him. I don't think they fired him, but they had relieved him of his duties. I know that probably sounds the same. But Andrew Friedman took over, and Ned Coletti was not a Rob Pelinka type or a Mitch Kupchak. This man found Will Smith. This man found Corey Seager. This man found and drafted Kershaw. This man has a lot of talent, and it's not an accident that the Italy team is doing this well. So kudos to Italy. Kudos to all these teams. I think everybody that was left in the Final Four absolutely deserved to be where they were, and had any of them won it, they would have deserved it much so. Soto, Machado, and Tatis doing Padre things. Yeah, it's sad, man. I mean, how did that team not win the championship in 2022? That's puzzling to me. How do you not win? You beat the Dodgers. You win in San Diego beating them. And then you lose to the Phillies? Really? You lose to the Phillies after beating the Dodgers the next week? Blew your wad, man. You can't keep blowing your wad, man. The ultimate prize is the ultimate prize. You got to win it all. You got to win it all. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. We talk about this with D. Fish's point 4. As much as we love it, and even D. Fish said this, you don't win the title when something like that happens. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean as much, I should say. But when Ori hit his 3, right, and no 2, they ended up winning. Right? Where's my crew, man? I know I had an impromptu show, but I wanted to come in here and give a little test to see if everybody was paying attention. I know it's a Sunday night, at least here on the West Coast in the United States. Wanted to talk a little bit about college basketball. I know a lot of guys out here. I don't know if a lot of guys follow that as much, but the final, the four seeds, the four 1 seeds have been picked. It's going to be Duke, Florida, Arizona, and Michigan. Michigan lost the Big Ten title to Purdue. That was kind of weird. You're like excited. Well, wait, I'm not excited. We lost if you were Michigan, and then all of a sudden you get the 1 in the tournament. And Michigan's been playing well all year, and it's sad that they had to come up short at the worst time right now. But in the end, I think they still won out getting the 1 seed. So we'll see how that plays out. In basketball, I was watching a little bit of the Oklahoma City, Minnesota game. I don't know what's going on with Minnesota. I think they might be running out of gas right now. They've made 2 deep trips to the playoffs. They signed all their main guys last year trying to make a run, but something's missing over there. Something's missing. Maybe it's the motivation. Maybe it's fatigue. I don't know, because the talent is still there. I mean, you got guys like Randall still doing his thing. Does Anthony Edwards have the leadership skills to inspire, though? Does he have the leadership skills to have his team? Because he is the leader, right? Does he have it? Does he have it? Does he have it? Does he have enough to get those guys mentally to the next level? Because that's actually the part of the leadership of a star on a team. He has to be able to do some things. And I know that professionals should be motivated on their own, but I think when it comes to sports, when it comes to a bunch of dudes who are trying to create the common goal, you do need someone on that team, especially if it's the star on the team, to rev everything up. You got to warm that vehicle up. You got to make sure the tires are good. You got to make sure that the engine's good. You got to make sure the seatbelt's tight. And everybody has a role in that vehicle. And I'm not sure if Anthony Edwards is that guy. As good as he is, you guys have heard me say this a few times, I'm not sure what he is. talented and all that, that doesn't matter. We saw a lot of talented players in our time. We saw Vince Carter. We saw Tracy McGrady. We saw Allen Iverson. And as great as those guys were, Allen Iverson only had one deep run in him in his entire career. Tracy McGrady didn't win a playoff game until he was sitting on a bench. I'm sorry, playoff series. And that part is probably one of the more crazy statistics that I think doesn't get talked about enough. Imagine being arguably the best player in the game. Now, when I say this, for those of you who are too young to remember or weren't around, there was a time where T-Mac and Kobe were kind of sort of neck and neck. I never thought so, but that's what people wanted at the time. You know, all the people who kiss Kobe's ass now. Well, back then, what they were doing is they were saying that T-Mac was better than Kobe until one night in, I believe, 2003, Kobe, and I was there, Kobe at Staples shut down T-Mac for the fourth quarter and overtime and said, "Shh, it's my league." And I would like to think that a guy that good who can't get out of the first round with the talent that he had, I mean, this guy had a lot of talent, right? I'm not talking about the Orlando one. I'm talking about the Houston team. He was up 3-1 at one point, too, in one of those series, right? Won both road games to start. How do you not close that series out with all that talent around you and you're Tracy McGrady, right? So anyways, talent and athleticism and all that, what does that mean in the end? Vince Carter went to a Eastern Conference Finals, I believe, once, if that. I don't think actually he didn't. I don't know if he did. I think it was a seventh game against, I believe it was Philly when he was in Toronto. And this was in 2001. Iverson made it to a finals in 01. And that was really it. So you had three guys in that time, but you could say were the athletic freaks. One was an MVP. The other was arguably the best player, scoring champ and all that. But what did it mean in the end? You know, it's unfortunate, but this is basketball. This isn't football. This isn't baseball. A basketball star has a lot of pull in terms of winning because there's only 5 guys on the court. Can you, that one guy, be the guy that can lead his team to multiple appearances, deep runs, winning a championship here and there? That's always the question. And as far as right now, I'm sort of teetering on that area where, is Anthony Edwards a true one? Is he a true one that can win a title? That's going to be, I don't have an answer yet. That's a question that I'm starting to think about now. Drip Show, my man, what's up? Teammate of Ant, wouldn't listen to him, can't keep his life off court in order. Well, you all know how I feel about that. And I think he's a disgusting human being. And it would be very hard for me to cheer for him. I'm going to be serious. You know, we talk about LeBron being disliked. Look, LeBron does not. Anthony Edwards and LeBron James are not the same. And I mean, not even close. Okay. Not even close. LeBron might be an egotistical, narcissist, crazy person. He might be goofy. He might be all into himself. But one thing he ain't, and that is a deadbeat. I have absolutely zero tolerance for deadbeats. I cannot stand deadbeats. And this guy was celebrating it. That's crazy. That is crazy. How do you Ty Hill in the NFL, that greasy scumbag piece of garbage, that's another guy I can't stand. There was some talk. I'm a Steeler fan, for those of you who are here for the first time. There was some talk that maybe the Steelers might be looking into that. I go, absolutely not. I am not going to support that piece of garbage. That is another guy that is just trash. And I know there are more out there. And I just don't. People who celebrate being scumbags are pieces of garbage to me. I don't have any respect for them, and I never will. And I will not support an Anthony Edwards to the Lakers. I never would. Never. Ever. Not that. And I know I'm getting a little bit choosy in who and what, because I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that I've cheered for that are like that, but I don't know about it. I don't know anyone that has done it like that. I don't know anyone that pays the mother of his kid off so that he doesn't ever see his kid. I've never heard that from people that I've cheered for. If they're there, then I'll switch. And I just don't. I don't have any respect for people like that. And they destroy. They're the ones that destroy people. They're the ones that make things worse when they do that. And I'm not supporting that. I don't care for sports for anything. Still haven't been able to consistently follow basketball this year. I'm still in baseball mood. So you share an affliction that's similar to a lot of people that I know, including my good friend Empire Jeff. Empire Jeff is a basketball guy who hasn't been able to watch basketball. And I get it. I get it. I really do. If it wasn't for the Lakers fast break, there might be some truth to that on my side. But at the same time, that might not be true either, because I'm a creature of habit. And I also have a certain pride in my head. So I live in California, and I'll give you an example of real world and kind of sports, so that you kind of see the two sides and how they kind of correlate, right? Everyone is trying to move out of California right now because of the disgusting socialistic, communistic kind of philosophy that California has. And a lot of the people that I know are in that world and try to justify things and try to, I guess, be naive to what it's actually doing, right? So with that, my ego comes into play now. Oh, you ain't getting me out of my state. And when I say my state, I like it here. I like the weather. I like my house. I like my lifestyle. Hate the politicians. Hate them. Disgusting people. But I also am saying I'm going to wait you mothers out until you get figured out. And it will happen eventually, because at some point when you go to work and you can't, it's already sort of happening, but when you go to work and you finally find out that, wait a minute, I just worked 40 hours this week and I only made $5, then at that point things will start to really change, right? So in sports, when your team is not where you want it to be, the game sucks. There's no doubt that the Three Happy League game sucks. But at the same time, I don't want to leave when it's down. That to me makes me feel like I just was like everybody else and pieced out. Because I remember I used to see that in the 90s. Jordan retired, certain players retired, and all of a sudden people stopped watching their team play. I'm like, oh, you weren't really a fan. You really didn't. Oh, it's easy to just leave when you're not happy. Oh, so you're going to be back when they start winning, huh? Oh, okay. I see how you work. No, there was a brief 15, 20 game window for me. This was right around 2017. 2016, 2017. It was 2017, really, where the losing really started affecting me. I couldn't handle it anymore. The Luke Walton, Rob Sacre, Ryan Kelly, Tarek Black teams, I kept watching and watching and watching and watching them lose after one after another, just because I was like, I'm going to force myself to watch this because I want to say in 2-3 years when this is done, hey, I stuck around, but I couldn't do it anymore. Towards the end of that year, I finally had missed my first Laker game, I think since 2007 in 2017. So I'd watched every Laker game for a decade plus until those last like 15 games. I was watching one here and there, but I just couldn't. It was so bad. The losing just kept giving. I had a pit in my stomach watching that stuff. So, but all in all, I was still there. I was still paying attention. Even if I wasn't watching the game, I was still looking at the box scores every now and then to see what was going on. I've always paid attention no matter what. So if you're going to be here for the good, my advice is be there for the bad, because that's what the real fans do. And if you're not there, I'm not saying you're not a real fan if you're not there. Sometimes I get it, but if you, I don't know. I don't have a real clear answer other than one or the other. To me, I want to be there when no one's there too, so that when it's back up, I've been here the whole time. And maybe I was part of the solution. That's how I think about it anyways. Ant has a talent. The problem with him is immaturity. Will he ever grow up? Yeah, it doesn't help when you cater to babies, right? What happens when you spoil children? And then when the children do stupid stuff and you still spoil them, what do you think they're going to do next? And imagine this, as they continue to get older, what if you keep enabling them? Then what's going to happen? It's the same thing, guys. Adults in a lot of ways, are no different than children. You give them a long leash that they're going to take advantage no matter what. People are stupid like that. They have no grounding. Most don't have a lot of grounding on their own. They have to be grounded by force. And some might not even get grounded even then, and then they become a problem. Love basketball, but feel the same way. Yep. Craig, good to see you, brother. Thank you. I thought I'd come in here and do a quick show, see how things played out, talking about the WBC, talking a little bit of basketball. I did throw a little bit of college basketball in there. Again, I'm going to probably I know Gerald's going to be doing the tournament pool thing. I don't know if I'm going to do it this year, but we'll talk more as time goes on here with that. Discord has definitely helped with getting through Laker games. So Discord replaced our favorite place, playback. And in a lot of ways, the technology is better than playback. But playback had a special way of being more sports-oriented versus just interaction. Discord was always something that video game people did before I went on it. And honestly, I don't think we've had a bad experience there. I think it's been good. It's been great. Good dialogue. The only problem is sometimes I don't want to be on my phone. I'm on my phone all day. I mean, all day. Imagine this. I get up. It's sometimes 5 in the morning, sometimes 6, sometimes 7, depending on how the evening goes. And the first thing I do is I'm like a high school girl with her phone. I got to look at my phone, but I'm not looking at stupid stuff. I'm looking at requests. I'm looking at questions that I got to answer. Some of it is on Facebook. Some of it is an email. So I got to sit there. First thing I do is I got to open my eyes. Because why? Because I'm a communications guy. I like to go quick, and I like to go thorough, and I like to make sure everything gets done right away. Because when you do that, you have less of a chance of losing the yeses. I call it losing. You don't want to lose the yes. So if you're quick, fast, easy, got the answer right away, you don't lose the yes. And the yes means, yes, I want your product. Yes, I want your services. Because that service could mean $8,000, could mean $10,000. That little product that you're selling could mean $450, could mean $800. Just depends, right? So that's how the brain works on that. And it's been pretty good for me for a while now. Mr. Mark Gold Coast. How you doing? I saw a weird video this morning, Mark. It was, I don't know if you've seen this game. It was the chicks that wrestle in WWE, and then they had Ronaldo and Messi as a tag team partner. Do you know what that is? Was that fake or was that new? Is that actually in a game? Is that in the WWF game or WWE game? Answer that. Answer that. We wait for your answer. I hate the chicken nuggets. Where did I miss the chicken nuggets? Hello, drip. So the one food I eat at McDonald's is chicken nuggets. I'll eat them maybe 3-4 times a year. However, there's a caveat in there. It has to have the hot mustard sauce. I have to have the hot mustard sauce. The hot mustard sauce condiment is the greatest condiment ever made in the history of condiments. Is the McDonald's hot mustard sauce. I have a off-brand version of it. If in an emergencies, it almost tastes like it. It's not exact, but it almost does. So if I get desperate, I can order it on Amazon and get two sets. But when I eat chicken nuggets, it's got to come from McDonald's, and it's got to have the hot mustard. If I get sweet and sour, if I get barbecue, the nuggets taste like garbage. Got to have hot mustard sauce from McDonald's. How they have not made that a product in the store is an absolute mystery to me. Absolute mystery. I don't get it. I have the same mentality when it comes to getting orders. Yeah, that's how you do it, baby. I know watching the game on the phone is too small. Can't see the game very well. Rather watch it on the big screen. So when your eyes are constantly like this, right? You're constantly like this, and then you go up, and you go like this, and you go up, and you go like this, and you go up. Your focus after a while, it's like, and I don't wear glasses, but I'm probably going to need them soon. So I don't know. I don't know how I can incorporate it without being on the phone. I have to figure out something on my TV. Um, I don't want to look at my phone anymore most of the time, even though I'm looking at it right now. Uh, but I feel like I miss out with hanging out with the crew. And then on top of that, this is kind of more of the reason too, is it takes a lot of effort throughout a 4-quarter game to make sure the connection with the TV that I had, where I'm watching the game, and the game on the phone is in sync, and that tends to get to a point where I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. So that's kind of my thing. Xbox, yes, beer. By the way, man, Chris and I had some really good. I don't know what they did I don't know what fridge they used in Arizona in that hot ass place, but man, those Jalisco's were cold for a lot longer than I thought they would be. A lot longer. So props to whoever that vendor was for can. I hate drinking out of cans too. I mean, I'll drink out of a can if I have to, but I usually don't because it cools down. It warms up too quick, and then it just the metal, the zinc in that stuff that I don't usually like to taste. But for some reason, those Jalisco stayed really good. Good, thanks. You're a great man, Joe. Thank you, Mark. You're always great in many ways. That sounds like AE, my goat. Yeah. Denver Nuggets. Let's see, where are we? I've never had hot mustard sauce. Who do I get that from? Okay, so I've had hot mustard sauce in various areas, but McDonald's has the best one. I even eat it with the fries. So the next time you go to McDonald's, order a 10-piece chicken nugget. Make sure you get hot mustard sauce. Sometimes they'll be a little cheap and give you just 2. See if you can get a third one. And then eat the fries with the chicken McNuggets. And by the way, guys, chicken McNuggets on McDonald's is sewage for your body. I don't recommend it. That's why I only eat it three or four times a year. When we're like somewhere and we have to get something reliable, right, that I know will taste good. I eat it with the fries. I eat it with the nuggets. It's phenomenal. And by the way, McDonald's always makes the best Coke too, by the way. And the combination of those three, all of that toxic waste that you eat there, all work real well for the taste buds, even though they destroy the body. Let's see here. No hot mustard sauce. Really? You guys don't have a McDonald's in Australia? What are they, against hot mustard over there? Oh, that's a good stat there, Drip. I actually saw that today. They were, what, 2-14? 2-11 or something before Luka came? We talked about that, actually. We said that Luka kind of had Denver's number when he was in Dallas. Well, he brought it over to L.A., man. Even served a game winner on it. AI, that Mesa thingy. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I know what that one was. Let's see. They had beaten us like 12 out of 13. Yeah, it was pretty bad. Cool game last night. Talking lady a double dip. Joe, don't eat at McDonald's. You must have not heard they found human remains in their food. Did you ever watch Naked Gun, the first one? There's a funny scene when they're at the baseball game with the Queen, and Ricardo Montalban was the villain in that movie. And there's a scene earlier where one of his henchmen ended up getting thrown into a toxic waste area, and then that same guy he had a ring on, so that same ring and the finger that was attached to it ended up in his hot dog at the game. Guys, I'm gonna probably have to gross you out here, but God knows what we've eaten in our life from a fast food joint. God knows. We've all probably eaten something we shouldn't have been eating. How's your wife forgiving you yet? Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Tough. That overtime sometimes, man, that jacks so many things up. It's just mustard sauce. It's not hot, but yeah. It's not really hot, but the reason why I mention it's hot because you don't want to get mixed up with honey mustard. Honey mustard, an absolute no. My cousins, when I was in Arizona, This was a few years back. They had ordered a bunch of McDonald's to bring it to all of the fam. That we were like, I can't remember, it was somebody's wedding or a get together, a birthday. And we had like, I don't know, 20, 30 people there. And they went to McDonald's and bought like, I don't know, 10, 20 nuggets package boxes for everybody. And I remember telling my nephew, Roman, I said, listen, mustard. Don't forget mustard. You got to make sure you bring the mustard. It's the only way I'll eat this. Please bring the mustard. And Roman's always the guy that he's always got, you know, he does everything. He's a Renaissance man already at 21, 22. He goes, no problem. So I'm here excited. I'm like, hey, man, I haven't had McDonald's, you know, nuggets in a while. I can't wait for that hot mustard sauce. And again, man, I'll dip anything in that stuff too. It's not just the nuggets. I save that stuff in my fridge and I'll eat it with regular, like, grilled chicken when I make it, right? They get back and he got honey mustard. I mean, he got like this much honey mustard. That's what I was pissed about. I wasn't pissed about the nuggets. I was pissed that this is what you got. This could have been mine if I had just said hot. If I had said hot, I would have had enough mustard to last me probably 3 months. Be careful with your mustards. Hot mustard from McDonald's. That's the one. Anything else? Don't take it. Don't take a risk. If you're going to eat toxic waste, it might as well taste good. Yeah, that's true. What's the latest with El Dodgers? Joey, do the players not at the World? Okay, so the Dodgers played 2 spring training games today. I saw one of them. I got to go watch the other one after the show. And then they won both, by the way, because sometimes they'll split games. So they'll split. Roberts will go here. The coaching staff will go there, and they'll get both. And they'll usually have one star on one side and do whatever. So they won both games. I saw one of them. One of them was in Chicago. They raked today. They won like 14-8. And then the other one was Texas. It was a little closer, but they won on that one as well in Arizona. So they're getting ready, dude. There's only 5 games left in the Cactus League. That's what they call the league in spring training. There's only 5 games left, and then it's regular season time, baby. And Mookie looks good. Freddie looks good. Teoscar is on a tear. He looked great. Rocky's looked great the last few starts. I don't know if anybody's really having a bad spring. I don't know, guys. Tell me if I missed something. Drip, tell me if I missed something. Who's having a bad spring? Is it Tucker just hit a home run today too? It's his second one in as many games, I think. Will Smith's the only one right now in the tourney. And I had said at the beginning of the show before you got on, Mark, Miggy didn't get a chance to play for Venezuela because of insurance reasons. And that's a bummer because he would have helped that team even more. And I thought it would be great because I actually am picking Venezuela to beat Italy. I might be wrong, but that's just kind of the feeling I have. What would have been great was imagine the 2 World Series heroes battling for the WBC, right? Like I would have been able to at least felt a little bit of something in case Venezuela won, right? Oh, Miggy goes out a champion in the World Baseball Classic after he just won a World Series. If the Dodgers 3-peat and then he retires on top as a 3-peat WBC champion, and at the same time you have him coming to staying with LA to be a coach. I mean, I was like, this was like beyond the storybook. This is like fantasy land that becomes reality. But I don't know how the hell does somebody not pay for his insurance? What's going to happen? It's baseball. What's going to happen? Venezuela's already playing. Was it a political thing? It turned out it wasn't. I thought it was a political thing at first because of what was going on over there. But Venezuela's playing. They're playing great. So I don't know. But I think they've been great. They've been absolutely great in spring training. I think Mookie again has been, coming together a little here. Freeman looks great. Teoscar looks great. Pages looks great. Tucker started hitting recently. Edman and Snell are not going to start the season. Kike's not going to start the season. That's good. They're going to be back probably in May, June, which is something we kind of sort of already expected. I just want Tommy Edman to be healthy. I just want Tommy Edman to be healthy. Blake Snell's doing his normal thing. He's really going to only pitch half the year. Let him rest as much as he can. Put Sheehan in there. Put River Ryan. Put his brother in there. I don't care. Just make sure that the hits are good. If their hits are good, then they can do kind of what they did last year at the beginning of the year. But hopefully they don't go cold in July and not hit again. That's one thing that I hope that doesn't happen. But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Teoscar had a really bad groin that he tried to play through, and he was very cautious with it. Now, maybe I'm making an excuse for him, but I mean, I don't know any other way. I don't know. Why would he Cadillac it? Why would he be lazy? This is Teoscar Hernandez. He was clutch the last 2 years for us. I love Teo, and I think that's really what it was. To Edman, his ankle was in shambles, man. He had to get this surgery, and finally he did, and he's fine. And then Freeman, he had ankle surgery last year, and he had other surgeries going on, and he really didn't have an offseason, really. He had to train to get back to being healthy, and he kind of sort of was good, but then struggled, towards the end. Well, this year, he didn't have to have any of that. This year, he actually could rest, and he looks fresh. And then, of course, Mookie, probably in terms of in his prime, this was probably his worst season. And there were a lot of things going on in Mookie's life. I think the sickness at the beginning of the year threw him off. And I think ultimately, that wasn't really a big deal once things settled in, once he got back to kind of normal activity. But I do think there was something that checked him out a little bit last year due to family reasons. I think his stepfather passed away. And I think as someone who's had both his parents pass away, and from what I heard, his stepfather was a big part of his life, and he had a lot of respect for him. That can take a toll. That can take a toll when a family member dies. It's not good. Even though it's the natural progression of things, it's not. This still doesn't. Mookie's the kind of guy I think I can relate to in the fact that he can get affected by stuff like that, and that's the stuff that can break me. It's one of the few things that breaks me. There's not a lot out there, but that one, when it comes to family and my friends getting hurt, it's devastating. Let's see here. Now they play World Cup. Yeah, World Cup is going to be good. We watched the post-game show again, and when you spoke about us hanging out in the parking lot, we were busting up. I don't know. What's that from? That you guys had your own thing going. It's all dirt, Joe. Bring your lunch. Don't worry, I don't eat all that stuff, guys. I eat at home most of the time. Let's see. River Ryan, and his brother. His brother is also a Ryan. I can't play insurance. Yeah, it was. I've never really looked into it on what was going on. Somebody has to pay for it apparently, but I don't know why no one did. Oh yeah, Freeland is not having a good spring. Yeah. I don't know. I'd hate to. You gotta kind of also again look at it as keep the Dodgers don't need Freeland, so maybe he's hitting a rough spot at the worst time. Let him get his stuff going. The one that I've been sort of paying attention to a little bit, and I'd say maybe is a little bit worrisome, is Dalton Rushing. I want Dalton Rushing. He's not going to be Will Smith, but what the Dodgers did last year in maintaining Will Smith with a little bit of sort of blessing in disguise was the fact that he didn't play about 40-plus games last year due to rest, right? And then he had that hand, he got hit in the hand, and that actually was the blessing in disguise in that he didn't have to play the last, 3 weeks during that month, and I think he was fresh for the playoff run. So Dalton Rushing is probably the most important bench guy in my view because he's going to have to cover Will Smith for probably anywhere between 40 and 50 games so we can keep him fresh. That one's the one I'm paying attention to most. Freeland, I mean, we all want our young guy. We want our young, guys to play well, but I think the Dodgers are okay at second. I think they have Miggy that they could put at second. They obviously have Hae-Sung Kim that they could put at second once Tommy Edman gets back. He'll obviously be there full time. So I'm not really too worried about second base. If you need to slide somebody over there like Kike, or even for some weird reason you got to put Mookie over there, second base is the least of my worries. So if there was one area that I thought, okay, cool, Freeland is the one that's struggling. Well, he's a second baseman. I think we have enough second basemen for that, so we're okay. What Ross did was clutch as it gets in sports. It really was. I don't even know how. Well, what do you compare that to? Baseball is so weird that like that. It's hard to compare it with other things usually. Even though we still do, I still say Kike Hernandez is the Robert Horry of the Dodgers. And as clutch as he's been, can you say that this might have been the most clutch Kike has been in his Dodger career? I mean, those two double plays he did in Milwaukee and in Toronto. The first one obviously wasn't as big, even though it was in a closeout game. But man, doing it a second time in a moment like that in Game 6, I mean, you can't get more clutch than that. And I'm going to say this because it's Kike, and I don't care what anybody says. If Paez didn't make that catch, I think Kike has a Willie Mays moment. But notice I said think, and I'm saying this because I love Kike, and I'm being positive for my team. But if you were to come back to me, because I've watched every game, right? I watched every game last year, and I told this to EJ, Empire Jeff. I said, "What?" This was during the year. I said, "Why is Andy Paez always hovering around one of his teammates for a pop fly?" I would hate that. I'd be like, "Hey, man, you're getting. Why are you like getting all up in here? Like this isn't a fair catch in football. Why are you hovering?" And this is the part in baseball that's hilarious. Because he hovered and ran over somebody, it looked more legit to do that play than to wait for a Willie Mays catch. Do you not agree? Because even though Paez ran over Kike, it didn't even faze him. He just sat there, he just stood there and just caught it like nothing. If you really look at that play, Paez wasn't struggling at any moment. The run, the 120 feet he ran, the lock, when he locked in on where it was, ran over at Kike and caught it. And then even afterwards, he did a little pirouette, hit the wall, put the ball in his glove, and he said, "Oh, shit, I got to go talk to Kike now." Went back and said, "Hey, what's up, man? You all right?" Props to Paez. Paez has been knocking the cover off the ball, man. If Paez plays like he did last year in the regular season, with Teo on, with Mookie kind of getting a little bit better and from last year versus what he was last year, obviously, and then Freeman gets a little bit better. Ohtani's going to do his thing. Will Smith's going to do his thing. Hey, guys, it's going to be a good thing. They're definitely going to win the division, and they're definitely going to likely have the best record. It's just they would have to get decimated by injuries again for them to probably not be the division winner, maybe be the division winner. I mean, they don't win the division either way. But if there was a time that you needed to take the Dodgers out, I think it was last year. Because their hitting wasn't there. Not only was their bullpen in shambles, but their hitting wasn't there. At least in 2024, they were raking. They may have won with the bullpen and not enough starting pitching, but they were still raking. They won that World Series with their bats too, as well as their bullpen. Last year, they had starting pitching, and that's it after July. That's it. Those guys never got out of their funk, man. They were 200, 212 hitting team from after July all the way through the World Series. And they still won. Phenomenal. It was like winning a Super Bowl the way Seattle won. I'm not comparing the two teams playing against each other because New England is the worst Super Bowl team I've ever seen in my lifetime in terms of being a participant. But it was essentially just defense, and one guy kind of went off, and now by the way, he's a Kansas City Chief. Sam Darnold's okay. They have a really good elite receiver, and he got injured, though, during the game. So, yeah, if you were going to take out the Dodgers, you had to do it in 2025. And if I feel sorry for you if these guys don't get hurt. If none of these guys get hurt this year, I'm not talking about the guys that are going to come in late. I'm talking about late in the season. If they don't get hurt, oh my God, we might see a little bit of what we saw with the Yankees in 98, 99 in the playoffs. The Yankees won all but 2 in 98, which is arguably one of the greatest teams of all time. But 99 was better. They only lost 1 playoff game in 99 when they three-peated. Mm-hmm. It's like coming back from a match point tennis. Insane. Yeah, man, that's crazy. I'm trying to remember what I think. Mark, I don't know if you remember this. There was a match. This was in the 90s because I loved Martina Navratilova. She was playing, I think, Conchita Martinez in one of the Wimbledons. It might have been the final. And I think she might have had a set point. I don't think it was a championship point. And then Conchita ended up winning the match coming back from that. I'm going to have to go look that up now that you reminded me. That one was a bummer because I really wanted Martina to win. And Martina was kind of, a little late, in terms of age. And the fact that she was so good on the grass. It's still sort of the most entertaining tennis player I've ever watched. She was a joy to watch. Loved her attitude too. She was just awesome. She was awesome in front of the camera, behind the camera, on the court, off the court, doubles, mixed doubles. Martina Navratilova to me for the longest time was Magic was my favorite player, right? But he abruptly retired in 91. But man, in that 90s range, I actually could say that I might have been. That might have been my number one athlete. I don't bring her up enough, and I should. I think that's kind of stupid on my part. But the reason why I don't bring her up enough because you can't follow tennis. At least I couldn't then, like you could follow basketball and baseball. You have to go find. It's always been the 4 major sport, right? Like, how do you get excited about the ATP championships? It's different, when it comes to golf and tennis, it's different. I don't get excited for anything other than the majors. So that probably is what plays into that. Kershaw couldn't play last WBC because of insurance. I'm sorry. You know what? This is my fault. I should have looked into this. How does that happen? SPP in the house. Hope you are well, brother. How were the tacos? Far out. Kershaw has blown out. Clutch was Reeves, missed free throw on the purpose, and then hit that shot. That was a weird sequence, as good as it was. It's like everybody's like, whoop, just staring at everything. That was clutch, but we need a bigger staff. For sure, definitely needs a big stage, but we're pumped. If Mookie, Freeman, and Teo have bounce-back years, it's over. Baseball is so weird. It's just weird. It's a weird sport. And I started thinking about that, right? We know Shohei is going to be fine. So now you have Kyle Tucker who's going to come in, who is apparently not going to have any of the pressure of having to carry a team or something like that. At least that's what I've heard. He'll be hitting second. And the reason why he's hitting second is because he doesn't have any weaknesses depending on right or lefty, right? His splits are even. So now I started thinking about this. This is not even factoring in Mookie, Freeman, and Teo, right? Paez, Muncy, everyone, right? I go, okay, how are teams going to pitch to Ohtani? Are they going to risk putting Ohtani on base for Kyle Tucker? Kyle Tucker does not have an issue with either or, righty or lefty. So the question now is, do you risk putting Ohtani on base to have Kyle Tucker possibly add 2 runs instead of 1, right? Do you risk just feeding Ohtani for a solo and not have Kyle Tucker and then, of course, all the guys behind him start that process and it never stops? Do you stop it at Ohtani? That's a question. That's a picture in my head that I keep getting. I don't know if I'm over analyzing it. I'm making it sound like Kyle Tucker is more dangerous than Ohtani. Would you rather just? Am I really? Is that really correct, guys? Am I really saying? And maybe this has more to do with when playoffs start. Maybe not during the regular season. Doesn't matter as much. But what are you going to do? You're going to bring a lefty in, right? You're going to bring a lefty, especially like Philly. You got all these lefties that are amazing, right? You're going to come in and you're trying to neutralize Ohtani, and they did. They did neutralize him. But what do you do when you have a left-handed hitter after him who doesn't struggle because you're throwing him a lefty? Do they just go, well, we'd rather still take the chance and just go after that? But are they going to feed Ohtani those pitches so that they don't have to worry about him being on base for Kyle Tucker? I don't know. That's just something I thought of. I guess we'll see it during the year. I might not even be making sense right now either. Let's see here. El Rosto was wasted. Freaking El Rosto. All in $2 freaking donations. The tacos were epic, as always. Thank you, sir. Sir, sorry that I missed your show. You didn't miss anything, man. This is an impromptu show. Probably should have sent out the alert earlier today, but I was busy. You threw your hoop. Let's see here. Come out of nowhere. Catch it. All good. Let's see. Andy Pajes may be the only bad spring training. Did he have a bad spring training, Chris? I thought he was doing well. Does he struggle the last few games that I didn't know? Good stat there, BC. Thank you for bringing that up. They hit well in the NLCS. And then in the World Series, they scored. Well, you know what? You're probably right. They did stink in the World Series, too. Maybe the NLCS clouded my memory. Before that Grand Slam in Game 1, they only had 2 runs. So, yeah, you're right. And then in Game 2, they won 4-2? Why am I drawing a blank? God dang it. I hate when I don't remember this kind of stuff. Hold on. World Series. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah, 4-2. So 4-2. Then they lost. They scored 4. So until that Grand Slam, there were only 2 runs in Game 1, and then it was 4-2, and they scored 4 again in the blowout loss in Game 4, and then really Game 5 was when they really kind of came through, right? But none of those were earned in the 5th. I don't think I can remember a stat like that. 5 runs in an inning, not a single one was earned. Joe Morgan or Sandberg for greatest second baseman in National League history. Well, I saw Ryan Sandberg play as much as you could at the time. I never really saw Joe Morgan play, but I hear Joe Morgan was the best second baseman of all time. It probably helps that he won championships too. They played in '94 final, Joey. Oh, yeah. Ooh, very nice. Mike Tyson was it for me. Mike Tyson, man. That phenomenon was nuts. Spain, remember, had Cachita and also, yes, Mark. Thank you. That was it. Thank you, Mark. We can talk old school tennis whenever you want to. Yeah, I will. I will try to. I will try to figure that out. I will try to figure that one out. We'll talk. Let's see. My Mount Rushmore of athletes I personally love the most: Kobe, Mike Tyson, Tiger Woods, MJ. Honorable mention, my guy Bernie Williams. When you talk about impact, MJ, Tiger, Mike Tyson, Bo Jackson. When you talk about 90s, late 80s, 90s, early 2000s range, Kobe is in there later though. I'd say Kobe was the 2000s for sure. Obviously, that was at his heyday, right? It just, I call it culture shifting. Kobe, Michael, Tiger, MJ are culture shifters. And not a lot of players can do that. You know this because you listen to guys like John Sally and a lot of the really good basketball players around that time. And you look at somebody like Rick Fox, Derek Fisher, and B. Shaw, and a lot of these guys that are very likable, very known guys. And these guys were seasoned vets, but when they would talk about Kobe, they knew Kobe was like almost like the son of a king. Son of a king. So Michael Jordan being the king and Kobe was the heir apparent, right? That's how it is. And even Shaq to some degree. And Shaq has room to be a culture shifter too. Shaq, I don't think, I would love to know in the world if there's ever been a man that was 7 feet tall that could move like the way he did. I'm talking about fundamentals. I'm talking about the way he pivoted. The guy's that big. You've seen maybe big men in your life, maybe a couple handfuls, right? In your life, you see somebody at the supermarket that's 6'10" or whatever. They always look like they have back problems. Shaq was a 7-foot guard with his footwork and his speed and his balance. I don't know anyone that's been that big that could move like that. I was thinking about wrestlers that were big guys that could do things. And I remember Big Van Vader. This was a 400-pound guy that could do somersaults off the top rope. You could talk about Brock Lesnar too. Someone who's 330, 340 that could do some of the stuff he's done. But these guys are like 6'6", 6'4". I'm talking about 7-footers. Shaq without socks, I think he said he's like 6'10 and a half or something. 6'11", really, right? That might as well just be 7 feet. To do what that guy used to do, he definitely was an anomaly. Let's see, Messi, a legend too, for sure. Yes, soccer goat still playing. Where are we here? Yeah. Should be reversed order 25, 24. Does it really matter though, BC? Yeah, have you noticed? I've noticed. You don't even think about 24 anymore. Isn't that weird? You know how fun 24 was? I still, because I think a lot of the reasons why it's starting to come back to me now is every time Shohei has a bad at bat, or like yesterday, he ended up having the last out and Japan's loss, you start seeing all these scumbags. Oh, look at your boy now. Look at what he did now. He didn't win with his $1 billion payroll. You guys forget what happened in game 1 against the Padres? Do you remember what the Dodgers were before that game? The Dodgers were known, even though they'd won in 2020, they had been known for the team that kept losing when it shouldn't lose. They were starting to look like the Atlanta Braves. One championship with all these division titles, right? You know who changed that? Dodgers were down 3-0. Yamamoto was pitching that game, by the way. Who do you think tied the game? Oh, Dylan Cease, by the way. Yeah, Shohei. Set the stage, man. It set the stage. There's always little things here and there that ended up becoming something attached to Shohei, one way or the other. Baseball's like that. Good way to put it, Joe. They revolutionized an era. Yes, sir. Joey. Are you enjoying baseball and basketball more than NFL these days? I reckon I can see it in your eyes. You've always been an NFL guy, but Dodgers, Lakers are sweet right now. It's easier to probably see that I am enjoying the Laker-Dodger thing because football isn't local here. I'm an outsider in the California area as a Steeler fan. Even though the Steelers travel well, the Steeler fan base has dispersed since the closing of the steel mills of the late 60s and 70s, early 70s. they dispersed all around the country. So that's why there's a huge following. And it was right around that time when they had their dynasty where they won 4 championships in 6 years. But the reason why you see more Lakers is because I do a Lakers show, and obviously because the Dodgers are local and there's a little bit more attachment here than it would be going to Pittsburgh. But fear not, I was born to play football. Well, I shouldn't say that. If I was born to play football, I would have played in the NFL. But I was born to be a football guy. Football is what is who I am. Much like how Ohtani's kind of known for hitting, but he that's what he does. But pitching is who he is. But people would rather see him hit. Same concept, same kind of correlation. I may know basketball, I may know baseball, but you have no idea how much I know football. A lot of people don't know that. And it's hard to have a fan base that watches what we do at the LFB and local stuff here with the Dodgers, and then have them be in that same area with the Steelers. I have to create I'd have to create a new fan base for that. And that's something I've been trying to figure out by setting up the themes for it and all that. And I got into it a little bit later than I wanted to, and I didn't push it enough during the regular season because I just didn't have time. But I'm hoping this next year I will be able to do that. Yeah, and it's always been like that, Craig. Even back when Mickelson and all those guys, Ernie Els, when they were amazing, it still was Tiger. When I found out Tiger was not there, I had no interest. Still don't have any interest. Hey, Joe, I mentioned the Dodgers are stacked. Greatest baseball team ever assembled. No guarantees, though, but I like our chance of three-peat. This could be. Yeah, I thought last year could be, but this actually has a stronger team because I think solving the closer issue and also having another bat, especially a lefty, that can rake, it's going to be highly – I mean, at some point, you're going to tell me that everyone is going to be in a slump now? Think about it. You have Shohei, Kyle Tucker, Mookie, Freeman, Muncy, Teo, Pages, Edman, Will Smith. You're telling me all of those guys are going to, at some point, be all dead in a game when it matters? There's no way. There's no way. Kyle Tucker essentially, barring any major injuries, major as in out for the year from those 9, I don't know how the hell anybody is going to all suck at the same time. They would all have to suck. And even though their batting sucked half of the year last year and parts of the 2024 World Series, they made key hits. And to me, that's all that really matters. Can they still make key hits? And now you just added another bat. It's not Michael Conforto. And if for some reason Pages hits the crapper again next year, you put in Kike in there. You all know what Kike does. So they're stacked. Rojas, same thing. They're stacked. It's just a matter of what you want to do. I like to see Kim really take advantage because I think he's going to be the starting second baseman to start the season. I want to see his speed. I want to see him batting 9th, getting on base for Shohei. And then they got to worry not only for Shohei, they got to worry about Kyle Tucker behind him if there's somebody like Hae-Sung in there doing his thing. I'd like to see him get 30, 40 stolen bases this year. I mean, he'd have to play a lot of games, but so be it. That's the stuff. I want to see baseball stuff with those guys. I want to see taking advantage of that speed. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun one way or the other. I mentioned this last year to a lot of people. I said, look, this team has to repeat for it to justify its greatness. And they did. To expect a three-peat, it's a little unreasonable. Three-peating is impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It is ridiculously impossible. If they three-peat, there is a legitimate, based off of the competition, based off of the analytics, the cybermetrics of this thing, the time, the money, all that stuff, it'll be one of the greatest dynasties that has ever played in baseball. Just in those 3 championships, if they win it, just in those 3, not counting the one in 2020 either, they will have won if they get a seed where they're not in a wild card game, which I don't think that's going to happen again. I think they're going to get to the NLDS right away. So that would mean they will have won 11, 13, and 11 in 3 years. That's 35 playoff games. 35 playoff wins, not games, actually. Wins. 35 playoff wins to win 3 championships. The Yankees of the late 40s and 50s won 20 to win 5. It's a huge difference. And this would be the first National League team in Major League Baseball history to three-peat. The Big Red Machine went back-to-back. There were a couple teams back in the day. San Francisco, the New York Giants, they won back-to-back. Cubs won back-to-back. This is way, way early 20th century. Nothing modern. The last modern baseball team other than the Dodgers that have won back-to-back in the National League are the Cincinnati Reds, and that is it. The last 100 years, it's only been 2 teams that have won back-to-back in the National League. So if they three-peat, they'll have won their 10th championship. They'll be 1 away from the St. Louis Cardinals. If they get to St. Louis at 11 here in the next few years, it's gonna come down to the fact that there's really no one else. Really, it's no one else, because I think the Dodgers are going to win at least 3 more championships in the Ohtani era, at least. So if they win 3 more, they're going to be up to 12, which will pass St. Louis. Then they'll be the class of the National League ever in the history of the National League. Only team they'll be behind is the Yankees. That's it. And it's going to take probably the next 75 years for them to put a dent on that. Yankees have 27 world championships, more championships than any professional team on the planet. Dodgers, I've said on the show, I said the Yankees own the 20th century. The Dodgers are going to own the 21st century. They're on 3 championships right now in the 21st century. And I believe they're going to win probably anywhere between 10 and 15 more, at the very least, between now and the end of the century. At least. Just because of who's running the show. I don't see them getting worse. Although I do have to mention this. I hate to segue into this. Anybody want to tell me what their new name is at Dodger Stadium that they're bullshitting us about? I can't pronounce the name. There, let me see. What is it called? Uniqlo at Dodger Stadium. Just found that out from that Katie Wu had posted on one of her articles. Ruin a beautiful name with a stupid ass name. I saw Bubba Watson, Ernie Els, VJ Singh. Wow, those are some old school names. So I hadn't heard that in a while. It was the President's Cup? Yeah, man. Good lineup back then. I used to pay attention to golf as well. Tiger changed the popularity. Tiger looked like a middle linebacker playing golf. I think that helped. Freddie accounted for 48% of LA's RBIs. Yeah, man, that was one hell of a freaking run, man, for him. Imagine if the Yankees were smart enough to get Freddie Freeman to New York when Atlanta threw him away. By the way, that pisses off Braves fans so much whenever I say that. I go, hey, so guys, since you guys threw Freddie away, what were you guys planning to do after that? So you got Matt Olson, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, good player, real good player. But when you throw away your probably the most popular Brave of this century, I mean, that's pretty clear, right? I mean, I know Glavine, Smoltz, and Maddox, and maybe Steve Avery, David Justice, maybe. But then Tom Glavine wasn't a Brave his whole career. John Smoltz wasn't a Brave his whole career. Oh, Chipper Jones. You did good with Chipper Jones. So Freddie wasn't as important as Chipper Jones? You just threw him away? Didn't throw away, man. You didn't throw him away as a fan base. I get it. But, man, that was a horrible decision. Horrible. And why didn't the Yankees go after him? Do you have any idea what Freddie would have done to right field in a Yankee uniform? Imagine putting Freddie in front of Aaron Judge. I actually think, without a doubt, Freddie would have won a home run title over there, even over Aaron Judge, because he'd be getting the pitches. And all he has to do is just get contact, and that sucker's going to go out in that little league park. I'm just saying, man. Am I wrong? You know, EJ always cracks on me in a weird way, right? Oh, these guys know more than us. These guys know more than us. So, you know, we're all on the couch. Come on, Hal. You're going to talk to the guy on the couch and tell him, oh, we didn't need Freddie Freeman? It wasn't like Freddie got like a $200, $300 million contract. It was a 6-year, like 140. Like, why did Friedman know this and you didn't? Why did Joe Soro in Winchester, California know this and you didn't know this? Or did you think that they were washed up like Atlanta? I think I get my kicks a little bit more with this than I talk about. Imagine. Freddie's going to play 4 more years. It's already kind of set. So he's going to finish off the next 2 years. He's going to get a 2-year extension. He's going to break 3,000 hits in a Dodger uniform. He's going to definitely break 400 home runs. And let's say he wins another 2 championships in those 4 years, right? So now you're sitting. Freddie Freeman's going to sit with 2 game clinching home runs in a World Series at the very least. If you could get another one by then, right? He'll have 3,000 hits, 400 home runs, 5 championships, a World Series MVP at least. That all in 8 years. Do people really know who Freddie Freeman is in Atlanta? And again, Freddie Freeman is a brilliant, nice man. He will never dog on Atlanta because that's not who he is. He will say he loves Atlanta, and he does, out of respect. But seriously, man, how did the couch guy allegedly know more in that scenario than the Yankees and the Braves? Something to think about. The experiment will. I'm trying to work on some more graphics right now. AI is not allowing my face to look like me from some of the AI. So the AI right now is doo-doo right now, the way I like it. Well, see, Kim, I think this is what was going on with Hae-Sung Kim. Kim was hitting. He was. But I think what they were doing is they were protecting him from getting overconfident, because then what's going to happen was they were worried that he would turn into Cody Bellinger in 2019. 2019, Bellinger won an MVP that year, really playing well in the first half of the year. And then he was kind of like okay in the second half. Kind of looked like Pete Crow Armstrong. Was it Buster Olney? I can't remember which dipshit on that show, one of those shows. They're all like dorks over there saying that PCA was going to be the freaking MVP. Like, were you nuts? Were you trying to just get clicks at that point? Look at that. SB is here, folks. SB is here. I didn't even notice with that quote at first that it was him. Reds lineup versus current. Yeah, so the big red machine. So tough. Everybody. I've been going back and forth on the big red machine kind of moniker. That one is stuck. I can't figure out a name yet that can stick. I think the latest one I had was the blue line, but it's not menacing enough. Because the blue line, the old bus, whatever, train or whatever, blue line, but it's not menacing enough. Murderer's Row of the 27 Yankees, the Big Red Machine for Cincinnati. There are other names like the Miracle Mets of 69, but that's not menacing. Bash Brothers, but that's really only two guys in when Oakland was in their World Series run in 1989 through 90, 88 through 90. They only won one championship out of those 3 years. They should have won probably at least two of those, right? Probably should have won three. But anyways, there isn't a name that sticks that has a menacing feel to it. And it might make sense because these guys are nice guys. But I'm still going to be figuring out what the right word is. I even thought of deadline. I don't know if that's too deep for people to. How does deadline? It's the deadline. Like you're messing with 1 through 9. That's a deadline. That's it. That's all I got so far. I gotta brainstorm more. It's only for the field name, Dodger Stadium. But they say that, Chris. They always say that, and all of a sudden, all we're gonna see is this stupid ass name in front of Dodger Stadium. Whenever they say anything, I hate that shit too. Clothing store is the Dodger name. There's one in Universal Walk where Universal Studios is. Glavine was a freaking elite workhorse. Indeed, he was. Boston threw away Mookie. Boston gave us two good players for Dustin. Yeah, Tibbs the third. He hit today well. He played really good today too. I don't know. I think they're making up for what they did in 18. That's something you can say to the crowd because I did get some kickback on that. Why aren't you mad at Boston? Why do you always talk about the Astros? I go, well, Boston made up for it a little bit. They traded one championship for 3. What the hell are you talking about? What are you, stupid? Talk about Mookie Betts, Alex Verdugo, and who else? I don't even remember who the hell they sent over there. I don't even mention Verdugo in that trade most of the time because he's not even there anyways. I always try to make something up original. Used gum, empty matchbox in terms of what they traded for Mookie Betts, an empty can, used floss, a remote control with no batteries in it. Like, I get real creative on that one, and it stings Red Sox fans. It really does. It really pisses them off. And I'm not trying to piss them off. It's if they hadn't cheated in 2018, I probably wouldn't be so hard on them. I'd be like, hey, man, thanks. And I should say thanks anyways. But I don't like losing enough to go all the way with that. I'd rather win in 18. I can't go into that mode. Well, I'll trade 3 for 1. It's what happened so far. But I can't. My brain won't allow me. It's kind of like tanking. I can't cheer for my team to lose. My mechanism doesn't work that way. Matt Kemp doesn't have a championship because they cheated in 18. That bothers me. Puig. Justin Turner doesn't have another title. That's the stuff I think about when somebody says stuff like that, right? Those guys deserved it. Chris Taylor deserved another title. Cody Bellinger deserved another title. Who knows what would have been? Maybe it would have been different how things turned out for a lot of those guys. Corey Seager wasn't playing in that year as well. That didn't help. Rich Hill would have won a championship, which I thought was kind of the beginning of the end when Robert still came out when he was dealing at the time. So yeah, it's but I feel very comfortable in saying that Mookie's got 6 years left on his contract. I don't see how they won't win another couple championships. So it looks like Mookie Betts is on his way to get probably 6 championships before it's all said and done at the very least. I think that's a crazy stat. He's going to pass all the recent guys like Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera in terms of championships for the modern day player. It's a great thing. Turned out better. It turned out great in the end, I guess, and we're still in that story. What's going to happen between now and 8 years? You guys got to remember, and I'm sure most of you do, it's the Ohtani era that we have to really look at now. As much as we love Mookie, as much as we love Freddie Freeman, this is actually an 8-year run at the very least until Ohtani's done. And I don't see how they don't win 4 more championships. And if that works, you're talking about a possibility of Mookie Betts has 6. So what if they win 3 of those during that year, right? That's 6. What if, let's cut it in half. Let's say Freeman has 2. Freeman has 4 years left, right? He's going to sign on for 2 more years. I'm pretty positive with that. He's got 2 years left. He's going to sign 2 more. He's going to play 20 years and retire. If he wins for half of that time, that's 2 championships. If you win half the time for Mookie, it's 3 championships. You win half of Ohtani's contract, it's 4. So Ohtani would get 6. Freddie would have 5, and Mookie would have 7. Yeah. That'd be pretty good. That'd be pretty good. It's good to be a Dodger fan, isn't it? Bid Blue Wrecking Crew. See, the Wrecking Crew's been taken. That's the problem. Would have been great if it hadn't been taken. Yeah, it's a hip-hop thing. It's not even in sports, right? Yeah, I can't say his name sometimes too, BC. I'm like, look, is it Earnhardt? I think it's just Earhart. Karina, what's up, bud? Good to see you, man. Thank you for being here. Joe, if you need, I need you and your friend to attend one of my games this season. You have tickets? I will call. Have 2 tickets for me, and I'll call her up. Freddie, 4 more years. Need at least 2 more titles. So if I had a choice, I would love for them to three-peat. And if they don't win in 4, that's fine. If I had a choice, they very well could lose this year and then come back again in 2027 and win. What I want is I want them to win this year, and then I want a shortened season next year due to the lockout, and then they win like a 100-game season, and then people will start whining even more. That's what I want. I think that'd be fun. Let's see. Joe, if you can go back in time, what sport would you play during the NIL era? Football. I don't think I'd be one of those guys that would be in the portal a lot. The only way I'd be in the portal is if I feel like I have a better chance of getting to the NFL somewhere else. But if I'm established, I just don't see myself having that issue, especially with the positions that I was going to play. I would not want to transfer out of what college I'm at. Only if, and it's hard to say now, being where I'm at here now. It's easy for me to say, oh, well, I wouldn't do this, I wouldn't do that. You know, you'd have to kind of guess what the situation would be. Let's say I get a full ride scholarship to go to Michigan, and for some reason I'm not getting enough playing time to showcase my ability, and it's a difference between me getting drafted and not getting drafted. Yeah, then I have to think about it. But I'd like to think I'm doing my due diligence there beforehand. I really, really think I'd have I'd have that. And I'm a competitor, so I'd like, oh, go ahead, bring anybody you want. I'm gonna beat him anyways. But then does that really happen? I mean, Tom Brady had that in Michigan, right? Barely got enough time, and that was Tom Brady, right? Ideally, I would like to just go to one place. So let's say I graduated in 1996. Who was the big stick coach of the late 90s in college football? Bobby Bowden down in Florida, Steve down in Florida State, Steve Spurrier at the University of Florida, Joe Pa, which I wanted to go to Penn State for the longest time too. Thank God I didn't. Would have been right around that time when Sandusky was there too. I wanted to play for Joe Paterno when I was in middle school. I wanted to go to Penn State. That was NIL at that time. Would have been interesting. Would have been real interesting. Joe, who do you want? Who do you have winning the NCAA tournament? I have Duke winning it. My nephew got offered a $200,000 NIL with Illinois to play linebacker. The kid's 18 and getting $200K is wild. Good for him, man. I hope he does well. That's a great, great number to have for a freshman. Joe, what are your thoughts on Brandon Gomes? He's still unknown to us. Brandon is. I'll tell you who Brandon Gomes is. Brandon Gomes is who Mitch Kupchak was when Jerry West was in charge in LA. And Mitch Kupchak got shafted a little bit. Not in the sense of like the way he went out. That he made unless there was something weird. I always said that I feel like that was a sabotage due to the fact that maybe Mitch kind of got tired of Genie and the Jim Buss thing. But let's say it wasn't. Let's say it's just that was kind of how he ended it, right? With bad decision making, right? Before that, though, is he brought in Powell. And for me, that was the greatest trade in my lifetime. Getting Powell was my absolute favorite trade that any of my teams has ever gotten. And I'm talking about my Steelers, who got Jerome Bettis on draft night in 1996. Even bigger than that. And I love Jerome, and he became a Hall of Famer, and he was the identity of the Steelers for 10 years. That's my second one next to Pau Gasol. And it's a distant second. Pau Gasol changed everything. And I loved Pau. And even Lamar had commented on an interview recently about I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he said it was freaky. He goes, it was freaky how he never, the second he got there, looked like he hadn't been there before. He didn't have a training camp. He didn't have a preseason, nothing. And you know this when you watch the New Jersey game. His first game, I think he dropped 26 and 13 in that game. Kobe broke, remember that bandage he had on his shooting index finger? That was the game he broke that, and it never really healed. For those who complained about Kobe's shooting ability after that, I always had to point out, I'm like, he broke his index finger and never really healed. He always had a wrap around it because he wasn't a poontang like 99% of the players nowadays where they would have probably taken 8 months off to heal. He kept playing, and the problem was it just kept getting worse, right? Or never healing, right? But Pau Gasol is, in my view, always going to put Mitch Kupchak at the top. Not all the way to the top, but he's going to be at the top in terms of GMs that made an impact. Brandon Gomes is who Mitch Kupchak was underneath Jerry West. Does Brandon Gomes eventually get his own team down the road? I don't know. From the looks of it, it looks like, if I had to guess, when Andrew Friedman is ready to retire, he'll take over. But then Andrew Friedman's a pretty young guy. Does he want to retire? I don't think he would retire anytime soon. I don't think he would retire until Shohei retires, because I believe Shohei will retire in 8 years. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that allows his game to deteriorate to the point where he's just kind of hanging on. I think he's going to retire as soon as his contract is over. He'll have just barely be under 40, I think. He'll be 39. 39, 40. Much like how Freddie Freeman is going to go. He's going to retire around 40 as well. Same with Mookie. I think he might retire. I think his contract runs out when he's 39. I have to look at that. So Brandon Gomes, he's the general manager of the Dodgers. And I believe he'll eventually take over Andrew Friedman unless he gets an offer to go run some other team somewhere. I don't know. I haven't heard a hint of anything about him leaving or anything like that. I think he's going to be the guy that replaces Andrew Friedman when Ohtani retires. Is my guess. Will Ohtani hit 60 home runs? I'll tell you what, Craig. Kyle Tucker is going to make that a little bit more realistic, especially if he hits. If Kyle Tucker is a 300 hitter, hitting 30 home runs, I don't know how the hell they're not going to be able to. They have to pitch to Ohtani. They have to. They have to pitch to Ohtani at that point. You can't have Ohtani on the base if Tucker's going to hit home runs. Right? Would you rather take a solo or chance a 2-run bomb or chance Kyle Tucker creating a running barrage? That's the question I have in this. I don't know if I'm overthinking this, though. I don't know if I'm just imagining this. It's not something I've ever thought about. It's not something that I think that registers. Are you really going to pitch to Ohtani so that you don't create this momentum through Kyle Tucker, Mookie, Freddie? Would you rather just pitch to Ohtani and just let him hit a home run and call it a day? I don't know. But if Kyle Tucker is 2022 Kyle Tucker, this league is jacked. And that's the way for Ohtani to hit 60. Because Ohtani's going to get pitches that he probably wasn't getting the last couple of years. I'm not used to a player like that leading off. It's still foreign to me. I know why they have him lead off, because baseball's changed and the bottom of the lineup isn't what it used to be. It still sort of is, but not really. You put Edman at 9 when he's hot, that's like having 2 leadoff hitters, right? It's just different. It's a different game. Hae-Sung Kim, if he plays well at the 9 while Edman's getting healed up, now you have a guy that can run like a deer, and you have Ohtani. You're going to have to serve him the pitches. Otherwise, what are you going to do? Walk him too? You're going to have guys 2 at a time on base for Kyle Tucker now, with a man in scoring position to boot. And you still have to wait for Mookie, Freeman, Teo, Muncy, Will, and I don't even throw Will Smith in there. I don't throw Will Smith in there at the beginning always because he's a catcher, and most of the time he's going to be out probably 1/3 of the year. Still dangerous. If these guys don't have an injury that debilitates them throughout the whole year, there's no chance anybody's beating the Dodgers. There is a very good chance this team will win 110 games if there isn't a major injury or a lingering injury. Last year, Teo had a lingering injury. Edman, Mookie, probably more mental with Mookie. Freddie was just coming off of what happened to him the year before. He never really got right physically. Hae-Sung Kim was here for the first year, getting used to velocity. Paez was holding up his end, but then he crashed at the end. Will Smith was good because he didn't have to play every game, right? Played 4 out of 6 games a week. We gotta hope Rushing can. I'm not asking him to be Will Smith, but at least I don't want you batting 201. Don't do what Conforto did. As long as they don't have a Conforto jacking everything up, I think they'll be fine. I don't want any Confortos. That's a momentum destroyer. That's like in basketball. That's like every game you have a player that misses. Oh, here, this is the perfect example. It's Gabe Vincent. Gabe Vincent and Michael Conforto are the same guy. They did nothing, and they continue to do nothing. Joe, would you go to Fresno State, FAU, Vanderbilt, then Cal? Never to Cal. I guess if I was playing soccer, maybe, but I'm not a big fan of Cal. Vanderbilt is the Ivy League of the South. I would definitely consider that. Fresno State's is, and then Florida Atlantic. I'd say Vanderbilt probably. If I wanted to stay home, Fresno State, obviously. Sure. I know the area well. But if I want the best education and the way their programs are right now in basketball and football, I think I'd go to Vanderbilt for the experience down there in the South. What will Dalton Rushing's role be this year? He is going to cover for Will Smith. He is going to play anywhere from 40 to 50 games this year, unless he really stinks. He'll probably get a chance to play at first as well. That's why I said 50, because I think he's going to play about 40 games as a backup, or 40 or so games to rest up Will Smith, and then the other 10, 15 games, 20 games in covering for maybe in blowouts, either way, for someone like Freddie Freeman at first. Joe, if I remember correctly, you own your business from a philosophical perspective. How do you separate yourself from your competitors? I'm the voice at all times, and I'm good with money. And most of the people in my industry are not. So I can take the risk of telling my client that we have a $10,000 project that we're going to do, and I'm not going to take any money up front till the project is done. When you do something like that, and that's me vetting them too. I'm vetting you just as much as you're vetting me, by the way, if not more. If I feel like you're going to be a pain in the ass, I'm not going to deal with you. I do once in a while make some bad calls on that. It's very rare, just because I'm like, let's see if this comes out a little bit better. And then, after a while, you're like, shoot, maybe I shouldn't have done this. But again, it's not total regret, but, I like a much smoother process. But the difference between me and my competitors from a communication standpoint is I'm better than anybody in communication. No one will answer their phone, answer texts quicker than me. No one. Hence why I don't like to be on Discord sometimes during the games, because I got to get off my phone. I don't have the resources to be a conglomerate yet. I'm not making 10, 20 million a year. That bothers me. I want to be making 10, 20 million a year so that I can go and turn that into 100 million to 200 million. That's next. How, when? That's something I'm working on. How did the Clippers get better trading Zubac and Harden? Well, Harden is a black hole. It opened up things for Kawhi. And then trading Zubac, guys, traditional centers are done in the NBA. And Zubac was a traditional center. All those numbers that he would get against the Lakers, win or lose, it didn't really have that much of an impact if you think about it. Gerald likes to talk about the Zubac trade being a complete and utter farce in terms of intellect. There's truth to that, 100%. But Zubac is a traditional center in a league where traditional centers are not that important. The center in the NBA right now, other than maybe Jokic, because I don't consider him really a center. He's more of a point center, right? He's like the greatest point center ever. He's what Arvydas Sabonis would have been had he came to America earlier. The center position in the NBA is almost identical in comparison to what the running back is now. You remember how important the running back was in the NFL or in football in general for years, decades, a century? Same thing. It's not an important position anymore. Thanks, Mark. Thoughts on Lamar Odom saying he wants to coach in the NBA? Yeah, no. I never heard that, and if that indeed was a question, I'd say absolutely not. Kobe was my favorite trade. Jerry West Steele. See, the reason why I don't use that as my my number one is because I didn't know. We didn't know at the time what that was. So I can't put that in there. We knew who Paul Gasol was, and we knew, and I mean we knew. We knew the game changed that day. The moment we found out it was real, I said, holy shit, Kobe's got his guy. And he did. 3 straight finals, 2 back-to-back. Woo-wee! Some of the greatest basketball I've ever watched. Wilt, Kareem, Shaq, Gasol, all were brought over by trades. Yeah, so I wasn't around for Wilt, obviously. I wasn't around for Kareem. Shaq was actually not a trade. He was actually a free agent who decided to come here. So Gasol is my modern-day trade number 1 because I wasn't around for Kareem or Wilt. It's sad Chris Paul never got a retirement tour. That's really bad. But I think Chris Paul sometimes might be his worst enemy. I don't have proof of it, but that's probably what happened. Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng. I try to forget what those were. I really do. CP3 went on one more season too long. It's hard to leave something you love, and that's all you've done all your life. So I get it, but you're right. Will DeMar DeRozan or Russell Westbrook retire at the end of the year? That's a great question. I don't think DeMar will. Westbrook, if Sacramento doesn't want him, there could be a possibility. Yes. Best Laker moves ever since 1990. 1 Kobe, 4 Divac, 2 for Luka for a bag of chips, 3 Powell for Kwame, 3 first-round picks, AD for all the picks. From just a trade standpoint, I would say you're probably. I would have to move Powell to 2 for right now, but Luka will probably move to 2 after that, after he wins a championship. Yeah. If we're looking at the reality of what's likely going to happen with Luka, that's probably a list that I'd have 1, 2, 3, and 4 as well. So that's a good one. Joe, as a fellow small business owner, do you get any pushback from doing sports content? I get a lot of folks who know me for business thinking I'm crazy for talking hoops on YouTube. You know, the great thing about being me is what you see is what you get. And I know you've probably heard that 500 billion times with other schleppers, but you will quickly find out that most people who say that are full of shit. Except me. Except me. When I say that, it's legit. And I know it's legit because I've invited many people since doing sports content that if you really want to see how awesome my life is, you're going to have to hang out with me for a couple of weeks. You can probably hide something for maybe a day or two if you're a scammer, but you can't hide it for 2 weeks. At some point, you're going to figure out that it's bullshit. Now, I'm not saying you're going to be living at my house. Probably don't know what's going on in my house. Maybe I'm a weird guy at home, right? You don't know that. But then again, I have people that have lived with us that weren't family members. They can vouch for me if you want to talk to them. They'll tell you how we operated here. And there was nothing hiding in here too, right? But if you want to really, really know who I am and know that I live by what I say, you just have to hang out with me for 2 weeks and you'd see 100%. Because in life, there's always the exception. There's always the exception. Nothing is 100%, except 3 things in my philosophy of life. You don't hurt children. You do not abuse women, and you do not kill innocent people. You don't do those things. Now, if you want to talk about war and things like that, war is that exception for a lot of things, right? And that's one of those things where no one wins. It's not something you can really discuss and justify either way. Do you either protect yourself or do you defend yourself? And is there collateral damage? Yeah. So now what? You're kind of stuck. But I'm talking about real life stuff in your life, stuff that you can control. That's important. No one. I don't do anything. See, here's the thing, guys. I'm not big enough on social media or YouTube to really have that problem anyways. I'm not that big. I keep things have been pretty. We got good followings, but I'm not famous. If I got famous doing this, it wouldn't matter at that point because there's probably a economical boost there, and then at that point I can decide on which one I want to go with primarily. But the business I'm in right now, I'm probably never going to get away from this. I'm just going to keep feeding the beast on that, getting more marketing, getting better information out there, and doing better work. And that in itself can be something that can flourish as well while I'm doing this. Garland, Mathurin are very good players. I think that helps too. Tough. They traded Harden for a better guard, in my view, younger one, in terms of better guard, as in for now and the future. And then Mathurin is more of what today's basketball is, someone that's a wing player that can play some defense and make shots. Zubac can only sit under the rim so much. He doesn't really shoot from outside very well, and he'll get rebounds and score baskets, but that's just not something that works in the NBA in a good way as much anymore. It's just not. Joe, are you invited to the carne asada? You are invited. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll have to get back to you on that. You seem to pull it off well, my friend. Let's see. Thank you. Joe, I'm still new to the NBA, but how would you prioritize the Lakers roster this summer? Are there specific NBA stats you look at to evaluate players? The stats that I look at are generally going to be, it's not going to be the plus minus, because Luka had one of his best games yesterday, and he had a -4. I think the stat that I probably pay attention to most is low turnover and high free throw percentage for a ball controlling anyone. When you have those things going on, when you don't make mistakes and you make the other team pay for mistakes, that's when you're always going to be in a game. That's the key. Turnovers limited, and then you make them pay for making mistakes at the line. I've been adamant about Luka making his free throws, and he's been good lately. And when he does that, it's not a coincidence that the Lakers win. Some people think 78% to 83% is not that big of a jump. It is, because the defense plays completely different when they know Luka's going to be hitting his free throws. Anyone who they know is going to hit his free throws changes the whole mindset of your opponent. We cannot be as aggressive when they do that, right? They can be aggressive because, like, oh, he's going to probably hit one of two. Even if he doesn't for, I don't know, 5 straight fouls, eventually he will. And they can use that to their advantage, especially when it's someone that handles the ball as much as Luka Doncic does. If it was just somebody like Mathurin who's doing his thing, it's not that big of a deal. But when it's the ball controlling guy, the guy that can get to the line, think about that for a second. Who are the MVP? Who are the MVPs right now that are perimeter players, candidates? Right? It's going to be Jaylen Brown. It's going to be Luka. It's going to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. All those guys are aggressive to the basket. All those guys can hit their free throws. Luka, though, I think should be much better from the line. I think he should be sitting at 85%, to be honest with you. So that's my evaluation on that. Thanks, Mark. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much. What's your email? I make clips. Let me put this in the. I'm gonna put it in the. 1 second here. My email. I'm gonna shift over to my other Google account. 1 second, folks. So this is my email. OXperiment@gmail.com. There you go, guys. If you want to send me anything, go ahead and send it to that. Okay. Who are your three top comedians? Are you talking about all time? All time. Wow. First two popped up on my head was Jim Carrey and Richard Pryor. Who's the third? Jim Carrey, Richard Pryor, and Robin Williams. Yes, indeed. Great question to end the show. I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate your attention and your service to the experiment. For those of you who are just here for the first time, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. Will Ferrell's good, Mark, but I think Will Ferrell is great when he's part of a group. It's not an accident that his best work in Old School, in Step Brothers, in Anchorman had a ensemble. But not going to get an argument with me with Will Ferrell. If Will Ferrell's your cup of tea as a singular comedian, you're not wrong. Kevin James has a funny, like Kevin James and Will Smith and Hitch was like peanut butter and jelly, man. They were amazing together. Unbelievable. Great, great movie. Anyone who hasn't watched Hitch, watch it. Will Smith was at his prime peak in terms of being funny in that movie. And Kevin James was King of Queens times 10, if you can imagine it. Vince Vaughn has a place there. Yes, Vince Vaughn has a place there. His best movie might have been Wedding Crashers. He was lights out in that movie. Absolutely. That was Dirk Nowitzki in 2011 for Vince Vaughn. That was it. Low key, I can see Joe either remember the Titans or as a coach or longest yard as a player. That's a good one, Carino. If I was going to be a coach, I have no doubt that I would have been Nick Saban. I would have tailored my coaching like Nick Saban. Nick Saban is my all-time favorite coach of all time, and really there isn't anybody close. And I have seen Bill Cowher coach. I have seen Bill Belichick coach. I've seen Phil Jackson coach, Pat Riley coach. I just never connected with anyone other than Nick Saban more than, yeah, I've never connected more with any coach more than Nick Saban. Mike Myers. Man, Mike Myers is probably the most underrated one out of the last 30 years. Wayne's World, the Austin Powers stuff, man, my buddy worded this so perfect. He's like, when Mike Myers went on when he went on a roll in these movies, you could not stop laughing. You couldn't stop laughing. Like it was like one after another after another. Like it never stopped. It's probably why he was a psycho. Mike Myers was not a good man off camera. I heard he was a tyrant. Jack Black, phenomenal. But Jack Black is polarizing. There's people that love him and they hate him. I happen to love him because there's been some off-the-cuff movies that he's done that were funny. The one if I highly recommend is Saving Silverman with him. He is freaking hilarious in that movie. Steve Zahn was hilarious in that movie. If you don't remember Steve Zahn. Oh, my God. Those guys were killing me in that movie. It was so funny. Amanda Peet was the villain of the story, right? She took her I always call him American Pie Boy, right? The one that banged the pie. She took him away from the Jack Black character and Steve Zahn, and man, they go through this. I don't know what the hell they were doing to get him back, and it is funny as hell. Watch Saving Silverman; it's hilarious. Eddie Murphy obviously is there. Martin Lawrence is there. They have a seat at the table, no doubt. I think Eddie Murphy is the total package. I think there's nothing Eddie Murphy couldn't do. He could do comedy, he could do drama, he could do musicals, he could do stand-up. him and Jamie Foxx are pretty much the five tool guys. If you had to pick when it comes to comedians and everything else, they could sing, they could dance, they could act, they could do stand up, they could do drama, they could do comedy. They could do it all. Totally talented. Superbad wasn't bad, but I don't care as much for that one than I do, let's say, Knocked Up. Knocked Up is great. Knocked Up is a repeat for me. Superbad, it's okay in terms of a repeat. I can watch it over and over again, but I thought that was still Jonah Hill's kind of like pussy phase, where because he was the star of that, so you had to see the pussiness through an entire movie. He didn't break out of that till The Wolf of Wall Street. That's when I started liking him. When I saw that role, you want to talk about funny? Holy shit, he was fucking hilarious in that movie. Hilarious. 40-Year-Old Virgin, Mark, I'll tell you this. Between that and Anchorman, I go back and forth sometimes on the greatest lines in a movie to repeat. Anchorman's probably still one, but I mean, 40-Year-Old Virgin is like this. It's like this thin in second place. If not, I mean, just it's not even 1A. It might be just one and a just slight left. Oh man, John Candy. Woo. Joe Marino, man. Hey, that's a good one, man. Hey, nice of you to be here. I haven't seen you before. Thank you. Please like and subscribe, man, if you like what you're watching here. I'm ashamed to say that I forgot about John Candy, and I think it's been so long that I don't know. I don't know how to put him in the spots anymore, because as much as he did, as great as he was, I think a lot got left at the table when he passed away. He probably would have been on Mount Rushmore if he had lasted maybe 10, 15 more years. But then again, even then, I think it's still an embarrassment that I didn't put him in there. John Candy might be the GOAT in terms of comedy. He was everyone's uncle. Everyone. And I have never heard a bad thing about John Candy. Not one thing. Not one. Never. And every movie he was ever in, I liked, because it was him. Didn't matter if it was Volunteers, Wagons East. One of my favorites that didn't do well for some stupid reason. Who's Harry Crumb? How the hell do you not love that movie? Forget about John Candy for a minute. The movie was funny. It was, yeah. John Candy has a place. He has a mansion next to all the. He has a mansion next to all the greats. Splash was my introduction, Craig, to John Candy as a kid, and Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks doesn't get talked about in terms of his comedy as much anymore because he's a drama guy now, right? But Tom Hanks made me laugh a lot. Dragnet. You want to see him? You want to watch another funny movie? Watch Dragnet with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. Hilarious. That late 80s, that mid 80s to late 80s, early 90s crew, that whole area, that whole Stripes crew with Bill Murray and John Candy and oh man, those guys. I'm so happy I grew up watching those guys, man. I saw some of the best, most amazing movies. You just, it's sad. It's sad being on Oscar night talking about all these greats, and then you kind of see what's now out there, and you're like, okay, whatever. Seinfeld is my favorite show of all time, but don't find shit. So here's my assessment on Jerry Seinfeld, Mark. I think Seinfeld was by far one of the greatest shows ever, but I had a hard time listening to Jerry. His voice makes me want to kill myself. That whining. It's the same thing with Larry David. My sister has sworn up and down about Curb Your Enthusiasm. Watch it, Joe. Watch it. You'll love it. You'll love it. I go, I can't. I tried. When I hear Larry David's voice and Jerry Seinfeld's voice, I want to punch myself so that I don't have to see it or hear it. It just bothers me. I can't help it. My favorite sitcom of all time is Married with Children. When I was growing up, before Married with Children came into my life, it was Three's Company. But Al Bundy is still a fixture in my lifestyle. I still say lines from that show. Ed O'Neill is a GOAT. He is a GOAT. He is the greatest of all time, in my view, in sitcom history. He's number one. Above Archie Bunker, above Jack Tripper, above anyone. He is the king. Think about this for a second, guys. Al Bundy, right? The one that they made fun of. Kids, wife, neighbors. The man owned a home in Chicago on a shoe salesman's salary. Had a wife that wanted him all the time. When you put things in perspective, things start to make sense a little bit, don't they? Kids didn't leave home. If they hated dad so much, why were they always there? You see how it works out in the end? See what happens when you mature and you start to look at things for what they are? Never was faithful to Peg, took care of his kids, right? I mean, I'm not trying to pat him on the back for taking care of his kids, but these guys were still at home after 18. So at that point, maybe you can pat somebody on the back for putting up with them, but yet still kept them in the house, right? Al Bundy is king. Al Bundy is the king of the sitcom. That's a hell of a way to end the show. Thank you so much, guys, for being here tonight. You guys had some good subjects there towards the end. We were able to talk for another 15 minutes because of that. I guess we're going to have a comedy show here one of these days. But I'll be back probably sometime either the end of the week or beginning of next week. I don't think I'm going to have a show after the finals of the WBC. I might not. I don't know. I'll let you guys know if I do. But thank you for being here this morning, this afternoon, and this evening. And keep your eye out. For those of you who just joined, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. You guys got my email now on the chat. If you guys want to email me some stuff, talk some dialogue, whatever, please do so. But until we get together again, until next time, I will see you next time.